Alrighty, listeners, welcome back to the Banquet Hall podcast. Took a little bit of a break just to get my feet up under me, but we are back and I'm really excited for the story we have today. New listeners, if y'all haven't already followed the Banquet Hall, make sure y'all follow at Banquet Hall Pod on all social media platforms. But I'm blessed to be joined by somebody who is new into my life and hoping to be new into y'all's lives as well. Curtis, how you doing today?
Doing great, man. Thank you for having me. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. And definitely looking forward to just sharing your story with our listeners. I usually get these podcasts started with some random icebreaker question. And I would say I didn't really think too hard about yours just yet. So it's really off of the top of my head.
Hey, let's get it.
I would say, because one of the questions we're going to talk about later is music videos. And I have to say, if you had to pick like 2 or 3 music videos that like are just vividly in your mind, like when you think about either your favorite music videos or music videos that you just think are iconic, what type of music videos come to mind for you? Like, what type of music videos do you like?
All right, off rip. Pierre Bourne has this song. Oh my gosh, hold up. I got to look up the name of it.
Go for it.
I think I'll have it real quick. But there's a video he did to the song and the effects, just how he put everything together. He essentially turned himself into a video game character and made a whole just crazy video out of it. And oh man, why can't I find this? Oh, Marie Curie, I think is how you pronounce it. But super, super, super dope. I actually that inspired me to want to have a video one day like that. You gotta look it up. It's super raw, really crazy, really trippy, really eye-popping, a lot of different colors. Super, super dope. So that is one of them. That's a good question. So Currency, that's my favorite rapper ever, has a video with 2 Chainz called Capital. I think it's Capital. And I know it's black and white, and it's just super smooth how it transitions to different scenes, which matches the vibe of the song. And just like the energy that they put into it, it was super, super artistic, in my opinion. And the third video. I'm gonna have to get back to you on that one.
Okay.
The third video might be a little hard.
No worries. It just popped up at the top of my head because I watched some of your music videos in preparation for the podcast. And then I was just thinking back at just how you don't really see. I feel like music videos don't get the publicity that they used to get. Like I remember watching 106 in Park back in the day and just seeing like what new music videos is out there. So was just thinking about that question. And one of my fondest memories in college, we used to just like pull up random YouTube videos and we used to watch like all the old Michael Jackson music videos and just really looking at the artistry of it all. So I was just curious what music videos come to top of mind.
It's funny you say that because in high school we had a class called Poetry and Song. And it was more about lyrics. However, pretty much everybody was assigned a song of the day. Essentially, any song you like, you just had to bring it. Had to be something that we could discuss as a class, break down the lyrics, visuals, obviously. But I used to look forward to that because everybody used to always bring a different sound, different type of videos. Some had storylines, some were pretty simple and straightforward. Others were very abstract. So hearing you say that kind of brought me back to that memory.
Yeah, that's one of the things I love about podcasting. Like you just never know what type of memories or stories pop off. And I think that's a good launching point for us to get started with the formal conversation. The first formal question I usually ask my guests, one of the things that really inspired the podcast is just getting to know the stories about where people grew up and where they call home. So Curtis, where are you from and how did that shape who you have become as a person?
All right, so I'm from Metuchen. It's a little small suburban town, about 1.5 miles, maybe 2 miles, maybe. Very, very small town. I wouldn't say it was too like rough of a town. However, like for us growing up, it was a little rough. My parents, they were together till the age of like 10. Then they split. My mom had to take care of me and my twin. And, just kind of seeing her struggle and again, dealing with it was a struggle in itself. But the town was a good town. Um, I had maybe a little hard issues, I guess you could say, making friends at first. Because me personally, like I feel like I was very goofy as a kid, but I did all that to try to get attention deep down. You know, that was like my end goal, but it wasn't coming out that way. It was coming out like this nigga is weird. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I had a hard time fitting in. I had a hard time making friends, you know, and for that or because of that, you know, my experience, like I would say, was a little rough, but overall, great town, great people. Uh, Rough growing up with my family and whatnot, but yeah, Metuchen.
And what state is that in for the folks that didn't catch it?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't even say New Jersey. New Jersey, yes, sir.
New Jersey. And so from
Garden
Jersey,
State.
the Garden State, all the way to San Diego, California. What was the journey to San Diego like? What brought you out here?
Crazy, 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 crazy. Because like I actually did not initially come to San Diego. Like I moved to the Bay, I moved with some people. Things didn't work out. It's all good. But however, when I was out there, I met a girl. Thought she was the one. You know what I'm saying? She's a great
That's how
person,
it be.
but you know, followed her down here because, like I said, the situation with my roommates wasn't working out well at the time. What I was facing in my head was like either I'm going back home to New Jersey because I don't know anybody out here really, or like she had an opportunity to transfer out to San Diego with her job because she had graduated college. My job at the time, I was fixing furniture. They were able to transfer me out here because we had work out here. So
Mm.
it was like a cross path, you know, go back to New Jersey, go to San Diego with her. And, you know, it was a little bit more than just following her out here. You know, I came to California in general because I wanted to make it as an artist. Growing
Mm.
up back home, I listened to a little bit of everything like rock, metal, rap, everything. But I really liked West Coast rap. Like I really was into like Nipsey Hussle, Dom Kennedy, and so forth. So a lot of that I felt like kind of stood out in the beats I picked. So a lot of people were telling me like, "Yo, you sound like a West Coast artist. You probably would do a lot better in the West."
Mm.
That was really the true goal in mind. You know, it's just other things happened while I was out there that I didn't know of, and it kind of, you know, stirred me in different directions. But yeah, so I followed her out here, and yeah, that's how I got to San Diego.
And how long ago was this when you got here?
Like, I want to say, if not 3 years, almost 3 years ago. You know,
Okay. So just about a few years ago. Welcome to San Diego. What is
thank you.
something that's really different about being out in California versus growing up in New Jersey? Like I know the West Coast is a little different than the East Coast. So what are some things you notice with regards to like the differences?
Oh man, there's a lot. Uh, there's a lot of differences. I mean, for one, New Jersey's a flat state. It's like that
Mm.
primarily everywhere you go. There's certain areas, like if you go to the Watchung area, there's like a little bit of cliffs and stuff, and you know, if you go out closer to like Pennsylvania, you might see some stuff, but for the most part, New Jersey's flat. Whereas here, you know, you got mountains, you got all the beaches everywhere. It's absolutely insane. So that's I would say the number one difference. Oh, also the trees. Like you guys have palm trees, we have like pine trees and regular trees and stuff. You know, not pine trees. I'm bugging. Regular trees, uh, like oak trees, maple trees.
Yeah.
Uh, but so definitely like that stuff. The landscape, for sure. I would say people out here, I feel like are a little bit more like they're willing to talk to you a little bit more like friendlier.
Mm.
And that's not to say people back home aren't, because like a lot of people out here have this idea that the East Coast, especially like New York, is like they
Hmm.
rude as hell and ready to curse you out, which is not it. Which is not it. I tell people all the time, it's just that like people in New Jersey, I feel like are a little bit more closed off because they're like, how do I put it? Like, we're not so trusting, if that makes sense. Like, once we kind of get to know you, we're familiar with you and stuff like that. We like your energy, then maybe we open up a little bit. But out here, like, people just say good morning to you for no reason. People want to ask you how your day is going. People commenting about your outfit and oh, like, I mean, you say you saw my video, so in, like, even in Good Vibes, for example, there's a lady that is in the video And how that wasn't planned. Like we were just filming and she was literally just standing there watching with a smile on her face. And we were like, "You want to get in the video?" And she was like, "Hell yeah." And she's an old lady, you know? So it's like, not saying that that wouldn't happen in New Jersey, because everywhere is different and, you know, everybody's different. But
Yeah.
for the most part, I haven't seen that when I was growing up. Like, you know, it's like once people get to know you, then they start opening up. So definitely a difference in that. What else? Tacos is definitely different. Tacos back home are we're a little bit more Americanized. I feel like, you know.
Yeah.
There's some places though. Again, I'm not saying all places because I'm sure there's some places in New Jersey that are real authentic with it. But out here, it's just damn. Yo, El Gordo, bro. El Gordo is a reward, dude.
Man, ain't it? Well, I'm happy that you've had a warm welcome in San Diego thus far. And so, fast forward to when you and I first crossed paths, you came to Black Xpression, which is an open mic in San Diego. Just a few weeks ago, y'all made it out the group chat to our open mic. Talk to me a little bit about that night and your introduction to Black Xpression and that community.
Black Expression was dope, super super dope. So a girl had told me about it a long time ago. I just never went because like at the time I don't know if other people could relate to this, but like I was familiar with performing at Courtyard and Music Box. I almost felt like
Mm,
everybody there. I mean, it's always different people that show up, but for the most part, there's a lot of people that I've performed with that show up. There's a lot of people that I've seen attend those events show up. So I almost felt a little bit more comfortable because it's like I'm used to seeing those people. Going to a new spot, however, was a little nerve wracking. You know what I mean? So you know, we like you said, made it at the group chat. Just a little content group chat. I met with some really super dope artists out here. Shout out to Deep Side, Evan Vogue, shout out to Red, Eternity, you know what I mean? My guys. But we have a little group chat where pretty much if anybody's doing anything or heard of anything, we post in there just to let everybody know what's up, in case they want to tag along. So I don't know if it was I honestly forgot out of the group of people I just named who was the one that suggested it that night. It might have been Deep Side, but it also
yeah, I'm
might
pretty sure it
have
was
been
Deep Side because he
I
had
think it
been there for
was.
a while.
Yeah, I think it was Deep Side. He put in the group chat and we're like, hell yeah, let's go. You know, especially because like, you know, our group chat, we call it content. We're all about, you know, getting our shit out, whether it's doing skits, whether it's filming live performance, whether it's, you know, etc. So uh it was a super dope opportunity to go and we showed up, instantly felt love through the door. Everybody started talking to each other, which stood out to me because a lot of times, you know, and no shade to any other venues that have open mics, but I've noticed that not every open mic I performed at are they so welcoming. You know, you walk in,
Mm,
it's just like, hey, sign up's over there. You sign up, and then you're kind of just like, now what? You know, you're waiting
right.
for your name to be called. Whereas when I came into Black Expression, you spoke with me. I'm really bad with names. Lewis, is his
Lou Salem, yeah.
who said, yeah, he's dope, dope artist. He spoke with me. Uh, there was a what's his name, Joe.
Yeah, Joe Mack.
Joe spoke with me, you know, so it was just love off rip. And oh man, um, the dude that got dreads that's big. I forgot his name. Jay,
GJ.
yo, he's
GJ,
yeah.
yeah.
Shout out to him, man. He's super dope, super dope, super dope. You know, we had a really cool conversation, and I just love that, you know, because it showed to me that this is more than just having people show up to perform. Like you
Mm,
guys are actually trying to see and learn about these people showing up, you know. So that was super dope. So Black Expression all the way, man. Salute.
mm. Definitely appreciate that. And the night that y'all came was also a unique night because it was barely anybody there. It was a small audience, and so people got to perform twice. And I feel like the
Yeah.
nights where we have a smaller audience, it ends up being a really good time just because it is a little bit more intimate. You get to showcase more of your
Oh yeah.
talent. You get to experiment with things. And I remember when y'all talked about the group chat, we was like, all right, well, let's see, because y'all went back to back performance. It was like, oh, everybody came with the heaters.
Everybody
Evan
came
came and
crazy.
shocked everybody. Y'all
Yo,
y'all performed the
Evan
hell out of
shocked
that.
everybody. Evan, he be going off, man. That's my guy, bro. Evan, what I really fuck with Evan because his music, he's on a whole different wave, bro. Like rapping about littering. How many rappers are gonna rap about, including me? Like that's creative as hell. Like and every day you see litter, so it's in plain sight. But it's like we're invisible to it. He saw it and had his message with it. And Deep Side came out crazy too with the singing because I'm used to seeing him rap. I didn't know bro had the vocals like that. So I saw everybody. I was looking at the video when I filmed him, and there's some girls in the crowd like this. I was like, okay, Deep Side. Okay, shout out to them both, man.
Yeah, shout out to them both. And I
But
think the
you're
thing
right.
that the thing I really appreciated about y'all too is that level of support, because when one of y'all would go up there, one of y'all got the camera, y'all hyping each other up.
Yeah.
Afterwards, y'all posting the content, hyping each other up. And then
Yeah.
something we talked about before we started recording today was that you were looking to collaborate. I saw you like talking with Lou Salem, like, hey, like you're really dope. We should
Yes, sir.
collab. You and I
Yes,
exchange
sir.
contact information. And I think that's really what our goal should be as artists, is to be able to connect with each other and collaborate. Because I didn't know you last year. A month ago, I barely knew you. So it's like now we're in this podcast space being able to have this conversation. And so my question for you is like, what does it mean for you to be able to collaborate with other artists in that space like that? Like, why is that important to you?
All right. Well, collaboration. All right. So music, I'm a very artistic person, I would say. Like I love to draw and paint on hats and stuff like that. So music is art in my eyes as well. And music is so dope because like one thing I love is like, so you're speaking about collaborations, right? So let's say another rapper, another singer, something like that, right? We could hear the same beat, but I could hear it one way, you could hear it a
Mm-hmm.
whole different way. And that's always been something so interesting to me about music is like just like the mental space, you know what I mean? Like, because again, we're hearing the same thing, but you heard it a different way and I heard it a different way. It's the same beat, nothing changed. And I love that about collaborations. I love that I could have another artist, producer, podcast, whatever, like collab with me where we could share our ideas and be able to kind of make the picture a little bit bigger than what it
Mm-hmm.
first was, you know what I mean? Because that's what this is all about, at the end of the day. My music, I would say, is definitely geared towards like inspiring and motivating people and bringing back the fun to hip hop. So I feel like when I meet another individual or hear another individual that kind of reflects that in their music or even how they move, you're part of the plan. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's perfect. I love collaborations. I actually really do look forward to them. Uh, I think it's even better when you collab with people that it actually just like is very organic and it just meshes perfectly together. But yeah, I think it's dope, especially because another reason should I say is because like you're from San Diego. Using you as an example, right? You're
Well, I'm
from San
actually from
Diego.
LA. I got to make sure I
Okay,
put. I'm from LA.
my bad. LA. You're from California. We'll put it like that.
Yeah, yeah,
You're
I'm from
from
Cali.
California, West Coast. I'm from the East, right? So right now we're doing pretty much an exchange where it's like people in the East are now gonna know a little bit about you, your podcast,
Mm-hmm.
what you got going on. Now people in the West will know the same about me as well. So I just think that's what this is all about at the end of the day.
Couldn't have worded it better. That's exactly the idea of this podcast. I'm hoping that people come and listen to this episode and they hear you say names like Lou Salem. Then they go check out Lou Salem's episode of the podcast and
Dope.
get to know who the stories of these people that are influential in our lives. Because one of the things that Joe Mack and I talked about on the pod is that you go to open mic, you might hear somebody spit for 3 to 5 minutes, and that's the only context you have of that person.
Right.
But if you have a conversation with them, you hear their story, then you're getting to know more about their why. You get to know more about their vision. Like you said, there's been a few different rappers on this podcast, but y'all each have different stories, different
Yeah.
upbringings, and that all shapes the music that y'all are putting out there.
Yeah, and not to really mention his name again like that, but Deep Side really has helped me a lot with that because how I met him was at Queen Bee, but we went to a open mic at Music Box one day, and instantly I just saw as soon as I walked in, he was talking to different people, and it might
Mm,
not have been a super long conversation either. It might have been kind of brief, but other conversations were a little bit more longer, and you know, I kind of feel like seeing that helped me to kind of get out of my comfort zone, if that makes sense.
mm.
a lot of us, especially artists, if you take a lot of time at your work, if you really are passionate about your work, and I mean passionate, not just putting out whatever to fit in or whatever the case is, I think that you're very judgmental of your art, yourself, even, and people around you. So, a lot of times in the past, I used to live in my head, so I would be very thoughtful before socializing. And a lot of times I'd be like,
Mm.
I don't want to bother that person or whatever the case may be. And right there though, you're kind of closing a potential door, that could lead to a great opportunity. So seeing him do that, helped a lot with that. So I kind of feel like, I have to salute him for that too. Cause if I didn't see that, who knows, maybe Black Xpression, I would have been the same quiet dude I used to be.
Hey, that's very possible. So I'm happy that
Yeah.
just those interactions that you're having are influencing your ability to be able to broaden your reach and get to know people. And I mean, it led us to this podcast today. So I'm thankful that
Yes,
you're
sir.
on that journey. So let's go ahead and transition a little bit to talk about more about yourself as an artist. You
Yeah.
spoke a little bit about the type of music that you create. Overall, how do you define yourself as an artist?
As an artist, I would say I'm a fun guy. I'm a passionate person. I'm a person and artist, I should say, because you said as an artist, right? Um, my goal again is to just bring back fun to hip hop. Like, I don't know, man. What's that song that Chris Brown did with Busta Rhymes, where Busta Rhymes is like rapping super fast?
Look at me now.
Look at me now, right? That's a perfect example of like fun. Like if at our age, if we were to hear that song right now, especially like let's say it was like a function, like a barbecue or something, people would get up and start dancing. People would be trying to record each other spitting Busta's rhyme and stuff. You know what I mean? Uh, and I love that. I love when music could bring people together and bring out the good in someone, and like bring
Mm.
out that happy space because life is hard enough, man. And I feel like, the stuff that we deal with on a day-to-day basis, when you are amongst a social group, like the last thing you want to think about is the stuff going on in your life. So I would say my music is definitely like that fun, refreshing, something that again gives you inspiration and hope because like if I could do it, anybody can do it. So yeah, fun, refreshing, inspiring, lyrical. I would say bright, but could also be very dark. Um,
Mm.
yeah,
I love all of those descriptors, and definitely the vibe and having fun is something that comes through either in your performance, the music that you have on like SoundCloud, YouTube. And one of the taglines I saw, I think was on SoundCloud, was that your new favorite feel good rapper, and that's
yes,
exactly the
sir.
the vibe I was rocking with when I was watching a music video last night. I was like, yeah, like I'm just bouncing, like I'm here with the energy. Like he was
Yeah,
at the beach, he was just dancing around. It's like, yeah, like we're it made me like feel good inside. And I was like, well, I'm happy that
yeah.
that you're a good vibes rapper, and I love a good vibe.
And that's real dope hearing you say that too, because it just tells me that pretty much my goal that I'm trying to accomplish is it's working. Like I'm in the right direction. And I think sometimes like in the past, especially I would look for like validation, I guess, through like a deal or something like that,
Mm,
money or something. It's like, those things are nice and stuff, but nothing beats hearing somebody else tell you that they see your vision or they hear your vision. You know what I
mm.
mean? Makes you feel like you're not insane or something. Because for years, I've been doing music for years, man. And all these years you have people telling you like, oh, you should do this, you should do that. Oh, you still haven't made it yet. So, when you hear someone else, and in my case, I'm hearing somebody else from the other end of the map, the other end of the country,
That's true.
So it's super, super dope to hear that, man. So thank you. Really appreciate that.
Oh, of course. This podcast is all about giving flowers, and I like being honest with my guests too. Like
Mhm.
literally, when I turned the music video on, I was watching. I was like, "Yeah, like I'm here. I'm with
Yeah.
you." And you talked about like the fact that you've been doing music for years. When and how did you get your start as an artist? Like when did you first pick up the pen? When you first recorded music? What's your origin story?
Um, I come from a pretty musical family. So I would say like literally forever. But I didn't always start doing rap. I was actually in a band at one point. We were
Mm,
doing all types of music. We are doing metal, screamo, I guess you call it, right? Rock, indie. right around the time where I started getting into like indie and rock, that's when I kind of started listening to hip hop. And then like what had happened was so in New Jersey, I don't know if you heard of Hurricane Sandy.
Yeah.
So I had a crap load of guitars. I had a PV cab, which was a lot of money. I forgot when somebody I know has sold it to me for like a really good price. So shout out to them. But I had a lot of gear and I lived in the basement at the time and I woke up and everything was just flooded like crazy.
Mm,
That's kind of when I gave up on guitar or rock. I kind of looked at it like maybe this is a sign. Like um I would say yes, like all my life. Like I'm 28, hip hop probably like 10 years, 3 years serious. Rock though, like since I was a kid, because skateboarding, that's what you're hearing in all the videos and stuff. So it was there for sure.
and we talked a little bit about being a feel good rapper, looking for the vibes. If you had to convince somebody why they should give your music a chance, there's so many different rappers out there that you could listen to. Why should someone give your music a chance, and where would you recommend they start? Like, what's a good song for them to start with?
Well, my mindset is like, why wouldn't you? When you hear the stuff on the radio, it's like, no shade to nobody, but it
Yeah.
can't get any worse than that. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's some good artists on the radio, don't get me wrong, but there's artists that, again, like you could tell this is not what they're passionate about. So it's like, why wouldn't you give me a listen? You know what I mean?
Mm,
On top of that, another reason why you should give my music a listen to is because again, like I'm coming with something that's refreshful. Like this is gonna be something that it's like almost let's say you've been in the desert for hours without water, heat just beaming on you, or sun just beaming on you. You're thirsty, you're parched, you need something to drink, and then you see a big lake or a big pond or something. That instant joy that comes to your mind and your eyes when you see everything, that's what you're gonna get from my music. Once you get the
mm,
water, you're like, oh, that's what you'll get from my music, man. It's refreshing, it's tasteful, and like I said, it's real, man. This is stuff that like my songs are my stories. You know,
mm.
some of my old music, I would say was a little bit more like cap and and hyped, just to try to fit in. But
Yeah.
at a certain point, I realized like, I have people listening to the fake stuff, so I have a voice. So I might as well use it to like really talk what's real and have people feel,
Mm,
because that's what I love, music that I could connect to, and that like when I hit it or when I hear it, I'm just like, wow, instantly bring me back to a certain time in my life, or maybe the current period of my life. But my music's real, man. It's something that you're gonna feel. It's gonna be something that you might not be able to relate to every song, but I guarantee you
right.
there's a song, there's a verse, there's a hook, something that is gonna catch you and like hold you. So yeah, like it's real, it's refreshing. And when I say it's real, again, it's bright and it's dark. I'm not one of those artists that, as much as I want to be a feel good artist, I think that you could still feel good even in bad times. So I'm not gonna be just like have a I'm not just gonna make a sound for one specific type of crowd.
Mm.
This is real. So everything that I go through, everything that I went through is going into my music. So yeah.
Yeah, and I always appreciate listening to music where I could tell it's real stories. Like this is just this artist bleeding out their feelings, their emotions
Yeah.
on the track. And like you said, you can feel good in tough times. And sometimes I think when folks are going through hard times, it's almost sometimes better to hear music that is also reflecting going through a tough time,
Yeah.
because whether you're empathizing with that artist or just hearing somebody else that's having a similar experience as you, it's like, I'm not alone in this. So I definitely think
Exactly.
that's all in parallel with being a feel good rapper for sure.
Yeah. And I also think that like you said it best. Like you're not alone. And a lot of times the problems that we face in life, we forget that there's whatever billion amount of people on this planet with us. And sometimes I know in the past, my problems, I'll speak for me. In the past, like a lot of stuff that I've dealt with and still am dealing with, it almost does sometimes feel like I'm alone with it. But then when
Mm,
I do hear like another song or an interview or something that just connects to what I'm going through, it's just like, whew, I can kind of breathe a little bit. And it's kind of twisted though, if you really think about that. If it is kind of twisted how it works, because it's almost like, I'm going through it. Oh, I see somebody else going through it, so I'm not as I don't feel as bad anymore. It shouldn't be that way, but unfortunately, it does help.
Yeah, and I definitely could see how, depending on how you look at it, it could be twisted. I think I like to look at it as an opportunity to connect with people too,
Yeah,
and like an opportunity to engage with people. So definitely hope that as folks are listening to this episode, they decide to pull up one of the streaming platforms and listen to some of your music. And we'll definitely get into where people can find you a little later in the episode.
yes, sir.
But if you had to recommend like a song to for somebody to start listening to you with, is there a specific song that you might want to suggest before others? I mean, obviously, all your music's going to be great at the end of the day, but what's the song that you would recommend?
Good vibes.
Good
I think
vibes.
that's a great start because one, I mean, we'll get into the whole video and whatnot. But that song just really speaks a lot for me, you know. And I feel like if people want to kind of like for people who may not hear this interview, but still hear my music and are curious, like who is Curtis? I feel like that song kind of gives you
Mm.
great, like great detail as to who I am, you know, and a lot of hope too, you know. But good vibes for sure.
And we already started talking about music videos, so might as well get into it here. Thinking through like the process of creating music videos, as I mentioned at the top of the podcast, I feel like not a lot of, especially like artists that are still building their platform. I don't feel like you see a lot of music videos nowadays. So, what made you want to create music videos for your content, and maybe walk us through like the process of creating something like the Good Vibes video?
Um, well, shout out to Daniel Rigo. Uh, that's a homie of mine. He shot the video for Can't Match This. He also shot the video for Good Vibes. Super, super, super dope and very, very humble and just a good energy type of guy. So artists out there that's looking for really quality filmer, I would definitely reach out to him. But he believed in that song, I think, more than I did.
Mm.
Because from what I remember, I don't think I wanted to shoot a video to that song. I think he kept telling me, like, bro, let's shoot to this, let's shoot to this. And you know, eventually I was like, yeah, let's shoot to it, you know. And I don't know, good vibes. Like I was working on a project at the time, and I still am working on it. I don't know when I'm gonna drop it. Uh, it has a whole or the project is supposed to be like a whole nature field project. Like you know how like Wiz Khalifa got music for you to listen to when you're high,
Hmm.
so forth, right? Like it's supposed to be a project that you is designed to be listened to in outdoors, like
Mm.
beach, park, you know, the woods, wherever. So we wanted to add that in the video for sure for the song because again, that's what the theme of the project was, you know. And I know for the video, like I just wanted to pick different areas. Like
Mm.
a lot of people, I don't want to say a lot of people, but like I've seen videos where it's like kind of the same spot or like the same type of theme, the same type of idea. I wanted to go somewhere in the nature, somewhere in the woods where like someone who maybe doesn't go hiking or spend time in the woods could see it and see their own like community in there and know that it's a cool thing to do. You know, so that was the goal with the good vibes and how we shot it.
Do you have any like fun moments you remember from the shoot, like anything that got cut or any bloopers or just anything fun you remember from shooting that?
Um,
And it's okay if you don't, just curious.
I think like honestly, just the whole day was a vibe in general. You know, what you see in the video is a reflection of how that day went, and not just with me, but with the company around me. You know, um, I think when we so there's a scene where me and my boy Chris, shout out to him, um, we're like walking and he got his arm around me and we're walking up like this little dirt path and there was all this wind and if you look carefully like you see this like crap load of dust just being blown everywhere and I had like a white tee on and it was getting in my dreads, you know, and that was a little we had to keep shooting a couple of takes over so it's just like you know whenever there was a breeze we knew what was happening and you know it was a good day overall. I can't really say there was a specific like highlighted moment that like stood out to me more than anything else, but it was a great time.
And the white tee was looking crispy, so y'all made it happen.
Yeah, good looks.
Of course. Something else that I found in doing some research, I was looking at your Instagram and you posted about one of your first times just performing in the streets of the Gaslamp District. And I wanted you to be able to talk about that experience because I think that those are the types of stories I'm always interested in because we walk by so many people on a day-to-day basis and we don't ever really get the time to think about like what this person's story is or what they're doing. And whether you're just leaving a game at Petco Park or leaving the club late at night, you always might see like artists just performing in the streets,
Yeah.
and some people walk right past, some ignore, some even heckle them and like are disturbed by them.
Right.
What was that experience like performing in front of people who, like you mentioned in your post, like this isn't a crowd that's gathered to hear you perform. You're performing, and there's a crowd of people there. So, what is that experience like?
Yeah. So back in the East, like we used to always go to New York a lot. My family's from Brooklyn and the Bronx. I'm from New Jersey. But I would go out there to see family, especially in the Bronx. And then sometimes like I'm really big into skateboarding. So we would go out there and just skate, me and friends, and there's always people performing in like Times Square, whether it's rap, singing, dancing, people that are naked sometimes, let you to pay them like $5 to take a photo with them. And at the time, like I seen all that, but I never once imagined myself doing that. And then when I came to San Diego, one day I was downtown and I saw his name's Joe Dreams, like doing that. And
Mm-hmm.
next, I seen him doing that at my church. And like some stuff goes viral for the wrong reasons. Like I've seen videos of people harassing him and stuff, which is like really messed up. But I still found inspiration through all that because you know I feel like a lot of times we will show it to a venue to do an open mic, or if you get booked for an event, right? People that are coming to those events, they're planned, they're like prepared to see whether, even if they don't know you're performing, they're prepared to see somebody perform. They're prepared to see whether they like it, whether they don't. All that is already planned for. Whereas on the street, nobody's really prepared for what's gonna happen next. We're just planned for like where we need to get to and like what we're gonna do there. So I thought it would be a really cool like experiment for myself to put myself out there like that. And then on top of that, like I kind of said a little earlier, I'm kind of like, or I used to be a little bit more on the shy side. So
Mm-hmm.
I felt like this was a really good exercise to like kind of break all of that and to get out of my head so much about my music. Um, I went with a couple of friends. Shout out to Otter Gang. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have had the speaker. He is a real one too, because this man was walking around the whole night with the speaker on his shoulder and like holding it in the air and stuff. And Deep Side came as well. Deep Side shot my portion of it, and he performed as well. And Otter, he didn't want to perform. I think he did one little performance at when we were like heading downtown by the college, but I don't recall him performing at all that night. So the whole time me and Deep Sour performing, this guy is just holding the speaker like real one, but yeah, he had the speaker, so I just hit him up one day and was like, hey, like let's do this. Like I had always planned on making shows. I've had actually got come in contact with a couple of different local artists out here that I was trying to have on a couple lineups. Um, the problem with me is that I never was able to find a venue. Like I would reach out
Mm.
to certain, I always wanted to do things a little like different. So like I had this idea of performing at Mount Helix,
Mm.
and I reached out to those people and it didn't work. So it kind of just got to this point where like, you know what, man, forget waiting. Like let's just make this happen our own selves. And the homies that I was in contact with, they were all down to do it as well. So I had somebody backing me as well. So if it wasn't really for them, and then again, like Otter, like sharing his speaker probably wouldn't have happened. But that night we went out, tested the waters, went really well. A lot of really fun and funny stuff that happened that night. Like I remember I was performing Good Vibes, and some guy just came out of nowhere and was just like, let me freestyle." And I was like, I was a little lit. So I was just like, man, go ahead, dude, do your thing, right? Like we're having a good time. And he started rapping in Spanish. And I was like, it threw me off because I was like, I didn't expect that, And Then he just like handed me the mic back. He's like, "Yo, good shit. Dap me up." So that was interesting. While Deep Side was performing, the really crazy thing happened. What's the dude's name from GTA? Slink Johnson is.
Hmm.
Quick. You ever heard the show Black Jesus?
Yeah.
The guy that plays Black Jesus. You know who I'm talking about? The
Ooh.
main character. Oh, I know his Instagram is Slink Johnson. This dude.
Yeah.
He played Lamar in GTA.
Yeah. Gerald Johnson, I think is his
Yes,
name.
yes. Shout out to him, Gerald Johnson. Yes, he in the middle of Deep Side's performance, like we were, like I said, I was lit. I wasn't even like really paying that much attention around me. Like some guy just hops in the video and starts dancing while he's performing, and he's just like going along with the whole video, and I'm just like, okay, like fuck it, let's go. Like so, we're filming
Yeah.
Deep Side's performing, and then at the end, he's like, you know who I am, and I'm just like, nah, man, I don't, and he's like, you ever heard of Black Jesus? And then it hit me. He's like, it's me. So he gave us like some tickets to go to his show. I couldn't make it
Oh
home
wow.
work, but all of that was just unexpected, and it just came from taking that leap of faith, and that was a night that I'll never forget. It was super fun. There were some people dancing on the streets while we were walking and stuff. We didn't get any like negativity from no one, so
Wow.
it was fun. It was fun. I never thought I'd do that either. So I want to do it again. I want to be able to like switch up the location too. Like,
Yeah.
but it was cool. It was cool.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm happy that I saw that post and knew to ask about that because those are the stories I get most excited about when you could tell that that's a meaningful experience for someone, like they get lost in talking about it. And I think that story is a good example too of how important the right people in your circle are. Like
Yeah.
something as big or as little as holding a speaker while you're performing, like your friend
Yeah.
holding that speaker for you, that
And it
makes
was
the
like
night. Like
for an
that's
hour,
foundational. Yeah.
hour and a half. And I mean, it wasn't the heaviest speaker, but you hold a speaker for that long, your arms gonna get tired at some point. So uh that was super real of him. And then on top of that, allowing us to use his speaker too. Like, no,
Hmm.
he wasn't really trying to perform. So shout out to them, man. Shout out to Otter.
Yeah, man. And for the listeners, I think that's a lesson in itself to when your artist friend just needs you to do like one little thing, you never know how much that one little thing can mean for somebody, whether it's picking up a chair, bringing a speaker,
Yeah.
sharing a post, like those little things can mean so much in the career of an artist for sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, support is it. I feel like a lot of people think support is easy, but it's really hard. Like, even like Instagram, for example, like social media, right? Like you could support someone and follow them, but it's like, then what? Like it's more than
Yeah.
just a follow, and it's hard, man. It's hard. It's hard, even at shows like open mics and stuff, like, people might like your music, but at the same time, they might not come up to you and ask you for your information. So it's tricky, but when you do meet the right people and they don't mind supporting you and helping you out because they see your vision and they want to help you get there, oh man, you got to hold those people close. So shout out to them again, man.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Do you have any other favorite performances or memorable performances? I know you mentioned performing at the Music Box, the Courtyard, but any other performances that you want to give a story or two about?
um Yo, yeah, the homie, shout out to Daniel Rico again, man. He had a whole I don't know if it was like a, so where he used to live, his complex had like a whole kind of barbecue party thing or whatever. And there was a couple people that were cooking. Everybody brought food and drinks. They had some games. And he asked me if I wanted to perform. And I never did something like that before. This is literally like right outside of people's apartments in a courtyard. And there was a lady, I don't know her name, but she was playing like the saxophone that night as well. And it was just such a vibey night. I did not expect that whatsoever. going there, I was actually very nervous because like
Mm.
it was something I never done before. I'm like, I don't even know the crowd. Like I know my boy, and I know he likes my music, but who's to say whoever shows up is or isn't, And I didn't know what age group it was gonna be, and it was definitely nerve wracking. But when I showed up and just did it. A lot of people are just like, that was awesome. And it was even dope to be able to talk about like we talked about the video we did for Good Vibes because he had shot it that night. And they all know him. So I'm pretty sure that was a cool moment for him, to be able to just I was like, yeah, guys, like he made the video, we did this. He's the reason I'm here today. It was super, super dope. So that was for sure a really cool experience. Black Expression was a cool experience as well. Like I love how you guys closed out the event. Just to that song, the so long farewell. I don't know if the
Hmm.
lyrics are or not, but it was super dope, man. Like, cause I go to these open mics and at the end it's just like, all right, see you guys next week, or next month or whatever the case may be. Nothing wrong with that, but that was just a very
Yeah.
like original way of closing out. You know what I mean? And it was a fun time there, man. That was a really good night.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely love those nights at Black Expression. And Black Expression has definitely given me a way to connect with artists in meaningful ways. And I
Sure.
just, we all play a role in community. And whenever I'm able to host Black Expression, I just like to engage with people and just really facilitate people getting
You
to
did a
know each
great job
other.
hosting, man. I will tell you that,
I
man. You
appreciate
had
it.
us all cracking up the entire night. I like that one question you asked when you were like, what's a good dating spot for a first date? That I remember that lady, she wasn't too happy about me talking about going to the open mic. She's like, why you gotta test? Why you even gotta test her? Like, but it was cool because it brought everybody together, got everybody engaged. We're all laughing and looking at the person that's giving the response. And that's what this is all about. You know what I mean? That's what it's all about. Sometimes again, when you go to open mics and you see, I've been to somewhere, there's a lot of people and it's a great feeling. If you're like, even if you're first timer, it still is a great
Hmm.
feeling. Like you have a chance to like win over these people. But again, a lot of times nobody's really socializing with one another. So I thought that was super, super dope what you did that night, man. Brought
Much,
everybody
much
together.
appreciated. And hopefully people are using that dating advice as they prepare for their Valentine's
Yeah,
dates a week from today.
right.
As we transition to the tail half of the podcast, this next question I've been asking a lot of listeners. What is your Zen place? And by Zen place, I mean either a physical place or just a set of circumstances that bring you to a peaceful state of mind. Where do you find the most Zen at?
Studio, church, and anywhere in nature. Anywhere in nature, especially like a hiking trail, man. Like where it could be complete silence. I could
Mm,
just hear the birds and the little lizards running around and just the breeze. Like it definitely is a Zen place because it makes me realize like none of this stuff that we stress about is really that deep.
mm,
At the end of the day, like to be able to look at a view on the top of the cliff or mountain and just God made all of this. You know what I mean? Like in that split moment, you're not thinking about Instagram. You're not thinking, I mean, maybe
yeah.
you want to take a picture or something, but you're not thinking about what is this follower doing or what Jordan is dropping or what this, what you know what I mean? Like none of that stuff matters in that moment. So nature, God, and studio for sure.
Have you found your favorite hiking trail in San Diego yet?
There's so many. There's so many. I don't know if this place is considered San Diego. Have you heard of Three Sisters Falls?
Yeah, I have. I
That
haven't been,
place,
but I want to go.
dude, highly recommend. I will say it's a little sketch though, because it's very the pathway is very narrow. It's
Mm,
very like steep going down. There's not. I like personal paths where they have like the rocks around, so you can kind of make your footwork to get down it
yeah.
and up it. But there's not too many rocks, so it's a little sketch. But the cool thing is like when you get to the waterfall part. Oh man, when I went and like it almost felt like a movie, man. Like it didn't feel real. When I
Mm,
got there, there was just all these people drinking and playing music, and some people were swimming, and there was a dog running around. So it just felt good, man. It felt really good. It felt really cool to see that too.
yeah, I definitely rock with that.
Highly recommend it.
I've heard nothing but great things. I'll check it out one day and just got to make sure I got the right shoes and
Yeah,
whatnot, so I'll fall on one of
yeah.
them narrow paths.
The day I went, man, I had no grip on the bottom of my shoe. I wore the absolute worst shoes you could think of to go there. I was sliding like I was ice skating. There was one point I actually thought I was about to die because I was sliding too much. I was like, whoa,
Oof.
yeah, going downhill too was crazy, you know. But again, I highly recommend it. It's such a dope trail. Is there any
Dope trail
trails
for
you would
sure.
recommend?
Ooh, that's a good question. Like you said, there's so many different trails in San Diego. I would say not necessarily a hiking trail, but a walk that I really do enjoy is around Lake Murray.
Hmm.
That's like when you go all the way to end and back, that's like I think 6 miles in total. But just
Oh,
walking
it's nice.
around the lake is like a nice centerpiece. You can walk with a friend, have a conversation. Definitely enjoy Lake Murray. I've only done Cowles Mountain once, but I enjoy like just
I
being up
know.
at the
Like,
top of Cowles Mountain. Torrey Pines has a nice little hike
Torrey
that's
Pines is
overlooking the
nice.
water.
Mhm.
Um, I'm a
Torrey
sucker
Pines
for
is kind of
anywhere that
short
has
though.
water. Yeah,
That's
it's
the only
very
thing I don't
short for
like
sure.
about Torrey Pines. Like because it's like once you get there, it's like, all right, what am I gonna sit here for 3 hours and look at the, you know what I mean? Like, I like to move, man.
Nah,
But
I
Cows
definitely
is dope.
understand that.
Cows is dope. Cows is, and the sick part about that place is there's so many different trails. Like,
Hmm.
they have the main part, and I always thought that that was it. But the more I started going, I started realizing like there's little wooden signs. It's like this trail and this trail,
Yep.
this trail. It's super super dope, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So, listeners, if y'all listening to this, look up a hiking trail or something near you.
Get
Get out in
outside.
nature.
Get
Get
outside.
outside. Touch
Go
some
on good vibes while you
grass.
out there too. Touch the grass, take your shoes off, your socks off. I think they what do they call that? There's a specific is it grounding or
Yeah, grounding yourself.
yeah, it's life changing. I swear to God. It sounds funny until you try it. Once you try, I've heard somebody tell me before to hug a tree, and that sounded absolutely insane. Like, what do you mean hug a tree? I did it one day, and it does something. It definitely does. It's crazy.
Man, shout out to my friend Devin because I think it was the night I finished my master's program. She was like, "What are you about to do to celebrate?" I was like, "I don't know. Like, I just spent a couple years in this master's program." She's like, "You should go touch some grass and hug a tree." And I was like, "Hug a tree?" She was like, "It sounds weird, but trust me." And I literally went to Mission Bay. It was late at night. I hugged a tree, sat in the grass. I was like, "Huh, Devin was right."
It's a different feeling. I swear. I don't know how to really describe it, but it works. Just trust us. Trust us. Trust us. We wouldn't tell you this if it wasn't true.
Right. The banquet hall ain't gonna lead y'all wrong. So find you a tree. And I'm gonna take it upon myself. After we done recording this episode, I'm gonna go find me a tree to hug too.
Yeah, man. Go hug a tree. Get outside and hug a tree today.
Absolutely. Earlier in this podcast episode, you mentioned some rappers that are people that you find inspiration and influence. So you mentioned Currency, you mentioned Nipsey. What other inspirations and influences you have? And these can be other rappers or artists that you find influence from, but also just people in your life that inspire you.
I get inspiration from anybody in my corner, really. Shout out to Flacco. Shout out to Q Billy. Shout out to Deep Side again, Evan Volk. There's a lot of people. If I really sit here and I could think of everybody, those are first names that come to mind instantly. But there's a lot of other people. But I definitely get a lot of inspiration from them because it's like we're all in the same boat together, and it's like there's days where I don't want to do this no more. I mean, that's very frequent for me, but then I see my brother that's been doing this for 10 plus years as well, and he's excelling. And I'm like, yo, good shit, bro. Like, I remember when you were saying the same stuff I'm thinking right now. I remember when you were telling me I want to give up. And I was like, nah, bro, you got it. Now I'm the one saying I want to give up and you got it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
Mm,
it's a good reminder. It's a great reminder. Like, I love Currency. That's my favorite rapper ever. I love his hustle. I love his drive. I love how he's kept it real all these years. Like, he is himself to this day. For like the same spit I heard when I was young, he's exactly the same.
mm,
Thing though with a lot of like celebrities is like unless you know them personally, like it's hard to kind of relate unless you also have a very similar background, But again, like with my brothers, like I've seen these guys, like I've seen them start, I've seen them, deep side Evan Vogt. I didn't grow up with them, so I'm seeing it now. But we're still all in the same boat, you know what I mean? And deep side of me has even more of a challenge because he's in the military, you know, but
Mm.
he's still doing it. And this is all stuff that like motivates me sometimes because like there's days where I'm like, bro, why the hell are you complaining right now? There's somebody else that would love to have the opportunity you have. You know, like I'm not lit like that or nothing, but you know, somebody's always doing better than another person, you know? And yeah, it's like, you know, I just get a lot of inspiration from yeah, local people for sure. Yeah.
Good
Currency,
answer.
I say it's like celebrities, Currency, Old Wiz, Larry June, Nipsey, J. Cole, you know, Isaiah Rashad, I'm type of guys. I would say like professional, but at this point in my career, I feel like it's really just my friends that's been like kind of motivating me more than anything.
Yeah, I think it's the people in our circle that sometimes become those biggest motivators because we're on similar pathways, similar journeys. So definitely resonate with that for sure. Outside of what we've discussed already, what else do you think people need to know about you to get a better picture of who you are as an artist and as a person?
No, I'm versatile, meaning you might hear a certain sound that you like. You might hear three, four, five, six, seven songs that sound like that, but that does not mean that that's me. I mean,
Mm.
it's me, like I wrote it, you know what I'm saying? But that doesn't mean that that's me. Like I don't know. I'm versatile. I like to do different sounds. Sometimes I like to experiment. You know, there's especially if I hear a song and I get inspired from it, or I hear like a new sound and I'm like, yo, that's sick. Like honestly, I feel like I could do the same thing. You know, um, so I like to be versatile. I like to keep it that way because then also it reaches a larger audience. You know, but I do like the boom bap stuff. That's like I feel like where I definitely shine most at. But so yeah, I'm versatile. Um, Another thing I would like people to know about me is that like I love skateboarding. I love skateboarding. I really my one of my dreams honestly is to like have my songs in a bunch of like pro videos, like while they're
Mm.
skating, have it played in the background. Because like that the song choice that you pick for a skate part is so important. Like it really can make your video pop out so much more, you know. And I just want to be a part of that. You know, I would love to do shows for the X Games, you know, or SLS, you know. I definitely would love to be more involved in the skate community, you know.
Mm.
But I love skateboarding. Um, Another thing I think that people would find interesting about me is that, like I said, I'm very spiritual. I wouldn't say I'm like very religious, but I'm very spiritual. Like I pray a lot. I'm trying to get back into meditation. I listen to a lot of podcasts on mental health, which is another big thing with my music that I'm trying to, you know, help out with. Um, yeah, you know, like a lot of times, even with my songs, like I'll write them. Like, let's say I'm going through something right now. I'll write a song as if
Mhm.
I'm a coach talking to myself. Like, this is how you
Mm.
got to
I
do it
like that.
to get out of it, you know? And I do that because one, I know one day in time, this song I'm going to replay again and it's going to help me, but there's somebody else that needs that exact same, you know? So, versatile skateboarder, mental health, spiritual. Yeah. Very athletic. Love the Knicks. Love the Eagles. You know what I mean? I really do fuck with the Padres. I like the Yankees though, but I fuck with the Padres because I never been to a baseball game until I went out here, and the Padres fans took me in with open arms. It was wonderful that day. Uh, yeah, it was sick.
I'll let you know right now if you need a better arms to get into, Dodger Nation will
Yeah,
accept
the
you.
Dodgers is it. You guys are lit. You guys literally have the Avengers, dude. It's freaking crazy. You
Yeah,
guys
man.
have, oh man.
Because I can't have you on my podcast repping the Padres and Knicks and the Eagles. We gonna have to get some type of fix in there. Like I
So we gonna have
will
to
say
edit
though,
that part out.
I ain't gonna edit it out. I ain't gonna edit it out, but only because the Knicks playing some hell of a good basketball right now. So I got nothing but respect for the
Dude,
Knicks.
you're telling me, man. I'm
Y'all
a
did just lose
proud
to the
Knicks fan.
Lakers. Y'all did just
Nah,
lose to
it's
the
the Lakers.
Lakers.
It's the Lakers. It's the Lakers. You know, Julius Randle wasn't playing. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm playing. I'm gonna give you guys your flowers. The Lakers are fire, man. The Lakers are fire. Let me ask you this though, since you're a Lakers fan, you think LeBron's coming back? Keep it real.
Yeah, absolutely.
You
I
really
just
think
I
he is?
just here's my thing with LeBron James, and I know some of the listeners they're going to roll their eyes at the sports part of the podcast, but whatever. This is my podcast.
Yeah, let them know.
LeBron is a businessman first and foremost, and
Right.
he's a family man. I don't think LeBron wants to play. I don't think he wants to move his family anywhere else. I don't think he wants to like have to like just go through the labor of being on another team. I
Right.
think it'd have to be. I think things would have to go really south for LeBron to want to leave the Lakers.
Right.
Obviously, he would love to win another championship, but I just think in terms of like settling his family down somewhere, he's already, even though this man playing like he got another 20 years left in the league,
Telling
uh,
me.
he is technically at the tail end of his career. The only reason I could see him leaving the Lakers is if like he's really set on like having to play with Bronny when he gets to the league. Like obviously he might want to go to another team then, but I also think the Lakers are going to do whatever they can to get Bronny on the
Mhm.
Lakers.
Yeah.
But I just think LeBron as a brand manager, as a businessman, as a person, I just think he probably tired of moving his family places and he ain't trying to go anywhere
Nah,
else.
settle down.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy, right? On the Is What It Is podcast, they were talking about how they could see LeBron coming to the Knicks, right? And look, they said that if he does that and he wins a chip for New York, that would be over Jordan. If you really think about it, that would put him over Jordan.
Yeah. I mean, I already think LeBron's a GOAT
Yeah,
anyway, but
that's why I'm like,
LeBron
yo,
winning a championship in Madison Square Garden, that would be like basketball poetry. I'm not even
that'd
gonna
be
lie.
absolutely crazy. I mean, look, I'm not saying it's gonna happen or it's not gonna happen, but that'd be sick. I would love to see that happen, you know?
Shout out the Knicks though, man. Jalen Brunson hooping, Julius Randle hooping. Um, we gonna fix the Padres thing. We gonna get you to a Dodger game and we
Oh
show
man,
you
I
some
would
real
love to see the
baseball.
Dodgers though. I mean, you know, it's crazy. I used to do so I don't know if you heard of this app called InstaWork. So I
No,
used to
I
always
haven't.
do it's kind of like a temp agency kind of thing, except if you have the experience, like any job that matches that could request you to
Mm,
work for that day to fill in for somebody that called out or sick or got fired or whatever the case is. So I used to always do stuff with the Padres. And I was doing a warehouse shift, just moving sodas around and stuff. And the Dodgers were playing the Padres, and they actually had blew some whistle, asked us to like step aside. Yeah, the Dodgers players walked right through the hallway, like all of them, like this close to me, man. And it was sick seeing that, you know. Especially because, like I said, I was around that time. That's when I started actually watching a little bit of baseball. I'm not gonna say I'm a baseball fan, but I could get down with it now, you know. But yeah, man, you guys are all shining and looking like money. I'll tell you, I'll tell you that. LA's doing something right.
hey, if it's one thing LA gonna get right, it's we gonna get the brand right, if anything.
Dude, so much Dior. I was like, damn. Talk about making me feel broke. I felt, ooh, I didn't even feel like I belonged in that hallway.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I'm
That is
looking
hilarious
around,
for
waiting for
sure.
someone to tell me to go over there. Hey, Matt, come over here.
This podcast has been a blast, and as we get towards the end of it, just a few more quick hitter questions. First and foremost, and one of the more important questions of the podcast: where can people find you, and how can they support you in your career?
Yeah, so you can find me right now. I'm on all social platforms. It's gonna be call me two underscores and then Curtis. And honestly, you know, it's funny. Like right now, my name's Curtis, right? But I honestly think I'm about to just transition to it just being call me Curtis because my real name's Matthew. You know what I mean? Curtis is my middle name and my grandfather's name that passed RP. But you know, there's other reasons behind the name as well. But I kind of like how that sounds. Call me Curtis. You know, like and it doesn't throw people off as much anymore because it's like wasn't your name Matthew, like you know what I'm saying, so call me Curtis. But yeah, all social platforms call me Curtis, call me then two underscores Curtis. It'll be there if you go on all distribution platforms, so Spotify, Apple, Tidal, you name it, YouTube, call me underscore Curtis, bring you right to my profile.
Awesome. So call me underscore Curtis. Make sure y'all go follow, subscribe, check the music out,
Yeah, make it
leave
support.
5 stars and comments, support in whatever way you can, share the content when it gets out there.
Yeah, I was gonna
And
say that's the best thing for me. Like, if people want to support Like, don't get me wrong, we all want to get paid, we all want to get rich. Right now, that's not where I'm at in my career. I'm trying to just get known. So
Mm,
money will come at one point, you know. But right now, like the best thing you could do to support me is just tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. Like you see something you really actually enjoy on Instagram, like share it, but don't share it because in your head it's like, oh, he's about to blow up and da 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 da. Share it because you genuinely want to share it. Like, you know, like I want genuine support on my side.
hmm
I don't got time really to deal with like fake support or people that are gonna be kind of wishy-washy. You know, I support the people that I support with fully, you know. So that's what I want back. I want real supporters, like and people that are gonna listen to my music. I want them to have an open mind, you know, to different things. Cause like I said, like maybe four tracks you hear might be boom bap, but the fifth track there might be something completely different. I want you to
mm.
at least give it a try, give it a listen, you know. But yeah, just genuine support is the best thing I could get. Show up to shows, like especially if they're free, like open mic. Like my goal next month, I never really made it a focus of mine to get people to come out to my performances. So my goal next month is to get at least 5 people to come to a show. If I can get five,
Mm.
then the next goal is gonna be 10, then 10 is gonna be 20, you know, and so forth. But yeah, if it's even if it's free, if you don't got nothing to do, if it's not far from where you live, if you genuinely fuck with me, like that's the best thing you could do is show up for me, you know, share my music, stream my music, add it to your playlist. Nothing that has to cost money. Money will come.
And
Money will come.
I appreciate you sharing that because one of the things I like to emphasize is that there are a lot of ways to support artists that don't require a single dollar out of pocket. And I appreciate you highlighting the need for genuine support too, because I even used to tell people when I was trying to market my poetry books, it's like, hey, I don't want people to buy my poetry books just for it to sit on your bookshelf forever. I want
Right.
people to buy
Read it.
this that are going to read it and like digest this material and engage because we're never going to grow as artists if people aren't genuinely interested in supporting us and supporting us in that way.
Yeah.
Like blindsided support doesn't really do too much.
Yeah, like we don't need yes men. And that's not to say that anybody is, but it's just like we nobody needs a yes man. You know, like if you see something that you like, let it be known because that's gonna just create more of that. You know, if you see something you don't like, let it be known. It might not change it, but at the same time, it might. You know, I don't want to hear like I love you as an artist. You're my favorite artist, but then I ask you, oh, like what's your favorite song? You're like, you know what I'm saying? Like, let it be genuine. You know what I'm saying? Let it be genuine.
Let it be genuine. Speaking of support, do you have any shameless plugs or anything you want to shout out that's coming out? Anybody else you want to shout out? Anything you want to manifest on the podcast?
Um, this whole year is gonna be just hit after hit after hit. It's like if you like the last track, the next tracks will be better. That's how I'm coming this year. And all this is honestly for the people that support me. This year is really for the supporters because like I have wanted to quit so many times these past couple
Mm,
months, past couple weeks, past couple days. And you know, it's people that hit me up and let me know, like, dude, you're fired, dude, keep going, that have kept me in this, you know. So this year's for them specifically. So shout out to anybody that supports me, you know. Um, shout out again to the homie, you know, the homies Flacco, the homie, my boy Joey Trees. You feel me? Shout out to Jovan. Shout out to everybody back home. Shout out to Deep Side, Evan Volk. You know, shout out to you, man, for letting me get on this and allowing us to perform that night at Black Xpression. Uh, shout out to my homie Koofy. He gave so Curtis, like I said, there's a lot of different meanings behind Curtis. Curtis is my middle name. It's also my grandfather that passed. Koofy, I met him in the Bay. He came up with his own definition of Curtis, and it stands for currency and universal respect towards independent success. And that defines my mission. That defines my
mm.
purpose. And it always stuck with me. The first time he told me that, you know, so shout out to him. Definitely played a big part in like where I'm at right now. Shout out to Q Billy. Shout out to everybody I fuck with. For real. If I didn't say anybody's name, it's not because you didn't, I'm not thinking of you already. Just you literally there's so much mind names that came to mind. I can't think of everyone right now, you know, but you know who you are. If you support me, shout out to you. Shout out to my family too. Can't forget them. Can't forget them. Can't forget them.
Absolutely. A couple more questions. First one, what are your takeaways from this episode? And when you talk about your takeaways, what are you taking away from this podcast episode, as well as what do you hope our listeners are taking away?
I'm taking away that it pays to talk. It pays
Mm,
to be social. Like I said, I used to be that shy guy at the open mics that would not talk to people. I would perform, and if somebody liked it at the end, we have a little conversation. But that's it. It pays to talk. It pays to also ask people for help. Like I think I mean, in the past I've struggled with that. And I know a lot of other artists struggle sometimes with reaching out to help. It's an ego thing. We don't want to come off as needy, but sometimes if you ask, like I asked you, like, hey, could we collab? And this came from that. But it doesn't hurt to ask. Another thing that I've taken away from this is that keep going. Keep going. Sometimes I'm really hard on myself. I'm like, man, I haven't got to where I want to get to yet. But like I told you in the beginning, this is my first interview podcast I've
mhm.
done in San Diego, and that's huge. That's huge to me. I only did one other one in my life back home as well. So it just tells me that like you're on the right path, dude. Like keep going. San Diego's rough, like rent and bills and stuff, and I feel like sometimes
You ain't
that's
got to tell me.
yeah, dude, it could get in the way of you chasing your dreams sometimes. And I've had moments before where it's like, all right, like I'm down in my last. Should I put this towards my bills or should I put this towards leasing a beat or put this towards, a promotion and so forth. But if you want it bad enough, you'll make it happen. And that's what I'm taking away from all of this, man. Even to hear you said that you did this in during COVID, the pandemic, 2022, 2024, man, like past couple years have not been easy years. I've seen a lot of people start something and not finish it, but you're still grinding. And, you're using like your platform at the Black Xpression also to be able to connect with new people to bring onto your show. So, keep going is what I'm getting from all this. And did you add, there was something else you had asked on top of that, right?
What do you hope our listeners are taking away with them, if different from what
Okay.
you just said?
Um, yeah, like some of that, and what I want my listeners also to be able to take from, or the listeners to take away from this is that uh be yourself. Be you. When you're yourself, it's easier to meet new people, it's easier to have people want to work with you, it's easier to connect with people and have them understand your vision. Like I told you, there was a period in my career where like I started making songs that weren't a real reflection of myself. It was not because I wanted to be ignorant or anything, but I wanted to be heard. I wanted to be seen. I wanted to get out. And Currency one time had an interview and he said something that kind of changed my life. He was saying how when he was signing Cash Money with Lil Wayne and them, he has nothing but love for them. But when he was with them, he was making messages that didn't necessarily reflect his lifestyle. And he was like,
Mm,
I didn't want this later on in the road to attract people to my shows that are about that lifestyle. And now I gotta look over my shoulder every 3 seconds.
mm,
So be yourself, man. Like people that support you when you're you genuinely appreciate you. Anybody that supports you when you're not being yourself, maybe they don't really rock with you like how you think they do. They don't know you. So be yourself, have fun, make music, chase your dreams. If you gotta leave to a whole new state to start over and try to keep going, do it. A lot of people told me back home I was crazy for coming out here. And I've even had people, I'm not gonna say the person's name, but I've even had someone tell me before, like, people love hearing stories about things that go wrong. And it's just like,
mm,
are you preying on my downfall? But there was plenty of times where I thought about going home. I mean, when I left from the Bay and I moved out here, I was like homeless for a short period of time, like a couple months. Um, and even there, like sometimes I'm looking at myself like, damn, my nieces are getting older, my grandma's getting older, my mom's getting older, like, and I'm here stuck at Motel 6, or I'm here stuck at a lift in the middle of nowhere, like no furniture in the house. Um, and it kind of makes you really question, like, are you insane for doing what you did? Should you go back home? So there's a lot of thoughts I think that go through people's head, when it comes to leaving their state and moving somewhere else. But you can make it happen. The only way it's not going to happen is if you don't want it bad enough. If you want it bad enough, you will figure out a way. And I gotta shout out the homie Keith, man. I cannot believe I didn't even shout him out, man. Keith helped me out a lot. Like when I used to work at a hospital. A lot of people got laid off for no reason, and or BS reason, should I say. And Keith put me on the InstaWork. That's how I was able to pay my rent for like 8 months, maybe a little less. But in that moment right there and then, I was thinking about going home. Like, I'm damn near about to be homeless. Like, I don't have nothing. I don't know anybody out here like that. What am I gonna do? But again, when you want it bad enough, just through having a conversation with someone at the skate park, I found out a way that ended up keeping me here for another year and a half, thankfully. There's a lot of fears, and those fears are real, but if you want it bad enough, you can make anything happen. So definitely want people to be inspired if they feel like they could increase their way of living, increase their career, be happier in another area. Go for it. We only got one life to live. You don't want
Yeah.
to sit back one day and regret all this. Like I would be doing that if I went back home after the whole Bay Area situation. All this stuff that's happened since then, I wouldn't have had done any of it. You know what I mean? So I'm thankful for it. I'm grateful for it. Uh, and it's my mission now and purpose to kind of tell other people about this so that they can live their lives to their fullest extent as well.
Yeah, and I think that echoes a lot of what I was going to say in terms of excuse me, my takeaways from the episode. Um, Trust yourself and trust like who you've become as a person, because I look back at that night when you were at Black Expression. A lot of that conversation at the beginning of Black Expression, I was just like, hell, there's like two people here and we need to stall a little bit before we start the show. So I'm just trusting who I've grown to become as a host to like, hey, just engage the people. MC means move the crowd. So just like engage with people, give people a chance to share, to experience, and then talking with you after the show led to us being connected, and
Yeah.
just trusting my ability as a podcaster to deliver a podcast with somebody who a month ago I didn't know. And I think that this episode was very successful. I think it's very
Yeah, definitely.
inspirational. I had a blast chopping it up with you. So yeah, just my
Thank you.
takeaway for the listeners is just trust who you are as a person, and that's going to take you far.
Yeah. Yeah, man. You couldn't have said it better. And I had a blast as well on the podcast as well, man. You're an easy person to talk to, man. I think that's really dope, man. Especially when you want to be personal and start sharing like intimate stories and stuff like that. So thank you again, man, for having me.
Of course, I receive and appreciate that affirmation. Listeners, thank y'all for sticking in with us too, for engaging with this conversation. Hopefully, y'all enjoyed the conversation. I always say at the end of the episode, y'all want 5-star content. We gave y'all 5-star content. Make sure you leave a 5-star rating. New listeners, make sure y'all follow and subscribe to the Banquet Hall podcast at Banquet Hall Pod on all platforms. Make sure y'all check out other episodes too. I know Curtis is a phenomenal person, and many of y'all came here just to hear his story, but make sure y'all tap in with some of the other stories on the podcast as well. Folks who are just being introduced to Curtis, make sure y'all tap in with him. Call me _ Curtis. Stream the music, share the music, and most importantly, vibe to the music and go hug a tree.
Yeah, go hug a tree, man. Make that something you do today.
Make that something you do today. And as always, just want to thank y'all for listening, and we'll catch y'all next episode. Thank you for your time, Curtis.
Thank you.